Once upon a time, there was a poor shoemaker who lived with his wife in a small cottage. Although he worked hard every day, he struggled to make enough money to survive. One day, after finishing his last pair of shoes, the shoemaker found that he only had enough leather left for one more pair. Sadly, he cut the leather and set it on his workbench, planning to finish the shoes in the morning. That night, something magical happened. While the shoemaker and his wife were fast asleep, two tiny elves appeared in their workshop. The elves were dressed in ragged clothes, but they were incredibly skilled and fast. Without a word, they began stitching the leather, working with precision and care. By the time morning came, they had made the most beautiful pair of shoes the shoemaker had ever seen. When the shoemaker woke up, he was amazed to find the shoes already completed on his workbench. He put them in his shop window, and soon a wealthy customer came in and bought the shoes for a large sum of money. With the money, the shoemaker was able to buy enough leather to make two more pairs of shoes. That night, the shoemaker cut the leather and left it on his workbench. Once again, the elves appeared and worked through the night, stitching the leather into perfect shoes. This continued for many nights, and the shoemaker soon became wealthy and successful. His shoes were known throughout the town for their fine quality. One evening, the shoemaker and his wife decided to stay awake and hide in the workshop to see who was helping them. When midnight struck, they watched in astonishment as the two little elves appeared and began to work on the shoes. The shoemaker and his wife noticed that the elves' clothes were worn and tattered. "We should do something to thank them," the shoemaker's wife whispered. "Let's make them some new clothes and shoes." The next day, the shoemaker and his wife set to work. The shoemaker made tiny shoes, and his wife sewed tiny clothes for the elves. That night, instead of leaving leather on the workbench, they left the new outfits for the elves. When the elves arrived and saw the clothes, their faces lit up with joy. They quickly put on their new outfits, danced around the workshop, and then, with a final wave, they disappeared into the night. The shoemaker and his wife never saw the elves again, but they continued to prosper from the work they had done together. From that day forward, the shoemaker was known as the finest shoemaker in the land, and he always remembered the kind elves who had helped him when he needed it most.